Zooming in today. My name's Elizabeth Boltz. I'm the secretary for the Northern California chapter of ASLA. We have a couple other executive committee people with us. Laura Lohr is our executive director. Krista Van Hove is our incoming president. Kathy Blake is a former director. Monique Bassi is one of our, I think, vice president and also vice president next year, I think, if I got that right. And that's, I see other people just coming in. So if I missed anyone, sorry about that. So this is our second in hopefully a series, maybe not just a summer series, but maybe keep going, about creativity, sort of a salon atmosphere where we can just get together and socialize and talk. It's so fun to talk before we start and see each other and really just, you know, draw, get together and keep the creative spirit alive during these really tough times of staying in and staying away from fires and being healthy. So welcome everyone. I'd like to introduce Eddie Chau. Eddie Chau is a landscape architect and an artist and an educator. He's teaching at University of San Francisco right now and also teaches at California College of Arts. He was the former director of the UC Berkeley Extension Program in Landscape Architecture, which was a wonderful program for all of us. Unfortunately, it was discontinued for budgetary reasons last year, a couple of years ago. So Eddie has tons of experience in drawing and in teaching. He's a great artist. Eddie, you can give your Instagram account, but he has a wonderful practice, like professional design practice, but also in art practice. And he draws in urban sketching and draws from his car and all kinds of things that I'm sure he'll share with you. He's also author of this fabulous book, which was on our invitation, called Random Imaginations. And maybe Eddie will talk more about this, but he started it when he was in grad school. And it's an absolutely beautiful and inspiring sort of journal or diary of just sketching and recording and letting your mind be free and be creative. So, without any further ado, thanks so much for offering this for us, Eddie, and welcome everyone else.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Yeah, hi everybody. I think I know some of you. You sound familiar, so that's sort of good to get together. Let me share my screen here. Can you all see it? The screen?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, I mean, thanks to Chip, you know, I was Chip's student in grad school at Berkeley, and he really introduced me to the wonderful world of sketchbooks. And the book that Liz mentioned was sort of a culmination of one particular sketchbook I started my first year of grad school. And it sort of morphed into 5,000 drawings into that book. So there's 5,000 sketches in there, all little tiles, and yeah, you can check it out. It's great. It's at your local independent stores, Amazon. But yeah, it was a labor of love, and partially Chip inspired, partially other teachers inspired, mostly landscape inspired. So I sort of carry that love, you know, since grad school, and it sort of involved me into teaching drawing, which I actually I love more than landscape in some ways, which is pretty understandable. So I guess what I want just to show you today, just a few sketches, but mostly about people and maybe faces. You know, I certainly am not like a professional artist of portraits or anything like that, but I figured everybody, I guess, from a landscape background, have experience drawing trees and landscapes. So I didn't want to really delve into that. I sort of want to do something a little bit different. So, you know, I'll talk about some general stuff and maybe tell you maybe some tips and pointers that I've picked up and that I've researched on, and maybe we could do some drawing exercises together. And but first I want to show you just some general early graduate student phase sketches that I've done. This is from the Art Institute of in Chicago. When I did a little road trip. And interior, these are all done by, you know, fountain pens, which is my favorite drawing medium. You know, Washington, D.C. You know, I love doing landscapes and love doing buildings. Eventually, you know, I want to do a little bit more, but still, I still love drawing, you know, traveling this New York Flatiron building. My first time in New York City, it was 1989, I think. So, yeah, wonderful time. This is, if you guys recognize this, this is in Berkeley, Indian Rock.
Oh yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm there all the time.
Yes.
I know those steps.
Yes. So this is Indian Rock. You know, rocks, I think, are probably the most difficult things for me to draw. But, you know, again, practice and, you know, sketchbooks. And I always tell my students that the best way to learn how to draw is not with something assigned to you, but something that you love to do. So I encourage them like to bring around a sketchbook, draw 5 minutes a day, average 5 minutes a day, and it's probably the best teacher you'll ever have, yourself. So having said that, you know, after I've done a lot more of these type of drawings, but I really want to get into, I started getting to just want to draw faces and people. I started hanging out last few years, way too much time in cafes, but they're wonderful places to draw people because they generally sit still and they generally like they're standing in line. So it gives you a little bit of time to draw them. So this is, you know, I hang out at this cafe in Berkeley and you know, way too many hours while you're all doing billable work. I'm doing this. But you know, it's well worth it. So I started getting fascinated with, you know, drawing people's faces and trying to capture expressions, and you know, just trying to capture quality of it. Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
That's good.
Just a lot of feedback there. Okay. So. Hold on. So yeah, this is Mario's Cigar Shop on Columbus Street in the city. Another interior. I've gotten pretty good with developing the side eye when I'm sitting at a counter or a table, drawing people literally 2 feet away from me and having them not notice. Experience. So yeah, different settings in cafes. This fellow was there all the time also, and I got, you know, he's a very big reader at Discovery. He always had stacks of books with him, and it's like this whole people study of that we don't ordinarily do. I think when we draw people in landscapes, we generally draw them as figures that are, you know, settings for scales in our drawings, but I was just trying to learn, I don't know, the character of people, I guess, when I'm sketching, and not just have them as like little props for our landscapes. The cafe in Palo Alto, you know, I think this may take, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so. I mean, they vary, depending how fast people move and how long they sit. But this is in Palo Alto, big umbrella. You know, I do watercolor also, various sizes. And when I draw people, I try to focus on, at least when I'm drawing the whole person, sort of try to pick out a characteristic of them, like a hat, maybe their body language or a guitar or clothing or hairstyle. So I try to find out a nice characteristic of the person as opposed to just drawing the head, torso, legs, whatever. So I think it's good to keep that in mind when you're sketching people, and don't just focus on what caught your attention to them. again, a lot of cafe drawings. Sort of sadly, almost every time in cafe, people are looking at their cell phones. So I try not to draw people looking at their cell phones, but it's very, very hard. It's almost like, I think 40% of people that you see around are holding the cell phone, looking at them. Let's see, sorry. This little sketchbook was entirely done at a Blue Bottle Cafe in Oakland. So I filled up this sketchbook just with Blue Bottle interior, the one on Broadway across from Oakland Tech High. So I had fun with this. This is a little mini sketchbook that fit in my back pocket. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing where you think you draw the same thing all the time, but you really don't. I don't have it all here, but there's like 5, 6 different variations of just those bags, those coffee bags, whether they're on a stand, whether they're with other pastries or they're all by themselves. But, you look at them in different ways as you draw them. And that's at least, I try to do that a little bit. Try to draw the same things in different ways, look at them in different ways. Another watercolor sketch in San Francisco. I did remember drawing this literally with someone 6 inches away from me, almost shoulder to shoulder. I didn't paint there. I just drew it there. But, I painted this at home. But yes, you'd be surprised how people really aren't bothered when you draw them. They actually enjoy it. They don't mind as long as you're not in their face. But it makes hanging out at cafes and looking and seeing these people much more enjoyable. Another one, again, body language. This guy was covered with tattoos. This woman was, she wasn't as bored as she looked. I mean, I think it was my drawing wasn't very good of her, but I liked the way the two were sort of semi staring at each other in a way. Some quick shots. This was a cheese board on the left-hand side. Quick drawing of the musicians there, and the one on the right is at the BART train. Yeah, at the BART train. Yeah, just, 2 people sitting together. This was a cook. You get and 2 computer guys at a cafe. These 2 were from the Blue Bottle series, I remember, yeah. And airport terminals. Airport terminals are great places to draw people because they're carrying bags, they're kids. I used to hate waiting at airport terminals until I started sketching them, and I sort of grew to appreciate it more because a lot of them are filled with angst and all sorts of different emotions. They're bored, they're sleeping, whatever. So, yeah. I mean, I sort of think this is one of my more recent favorites. This is on a airport going to France, and yeah, it was it was pretty fun. Here's a situation where this lady was at the cafe almost every Sunday, but with the New York Times, always with the New York Times, and her name is Catherine, and yeah, she was. I've only talked to her a couple times, but she's very friendly. She actually enjoyed. She liked my sketch, didn't mind. But yes, this was at the counter. I was just literally just a few feet away from her, did several sketches of her, and she was very friendly and enjoyed it. I love this fellow's mustache. That's what caught my attention. This fellow's hat, I remember. Now this lady is older. She was literally a couple of feet away from me, and at a bar, and I literally was staring, the side eye to the right, literally for like a long time. And she didn't. I don't think she noticed me, but yeah, I think she was. This pose, sort of like the sideways, slightly to the back, is one of my favorite poses of people. I don't know why. I like this pose. And I think it's because the nose is defined and the chins are defined as opposed to looking straight ahead. But when I sketch, I like this pose, the side slightly to the back. And, you know, I'm sure you'll have your favorites, but this is one I generally like. And they seem to be looking at something, not looking at you, they're looking at something else. Baristas, I find, are very interesting to draw. You know, they're always doing something, they're active, and they generally like to talk to you. So I would say if you go find some baristas, are generally pretty open to having you sketch them. You know, people waiting in line. Couples are nice to draw because they sort of they interact close by to each other, and it's sort of interesting in some ways. They're talking to each other, they're shouting, arguing, whatever. And I find couples are sort of interesting to draw to, not just a lone person. Definitely remember this one. Had a lousy dinner, but I enjoyed drawing the family next to me. Families at dinner tables are fine too, because you all see their foods and the utensils and all the other stuff. This is a sketch in France that I did in January. You know, try to capture some of the setting of the windows and the person. You know, so it looked like a setting in a way. I did, for some reason, I like this sketch. I mean, it's very French. The person was very French. And the last one here, this one I did last Memorial Day at a cafe. And it was, I tried to do a sketch-a-thon with everybody coming to the counter for an hour and a half. And so I sort of time stamped these. You can see it, there's little time, the times I started the drawing. This was 10:27 a.m. The last one was 11:57 a.m. So almost noon, from 10:30 to noon. So each one took about 4 or 5 minutes as they came to the counter to order, and I was sitting next to the counter. So this is the first person here, second, and went down the line for an hour and a half. So I drew everyone as fast as I could as they ordered and then left the counter, and there were kids and whatever. And I don't know, 2 or 3 people did notice what I was doing and came and looked, and they enjoyed it. Even one person worked for Mont Blanc, the fountain pen company. So she appreciated me using a fountain pen. She was she worked for Mont Blanc. So yeah, anyway, you know, drawing fast, drawing people, capturing the hairstyle, baseball caps, glasses, and you sort of see, you know, a beauty in everybody in a way. And it makes, you know, for a fun exercise. Okay, so I guess what I wanted to do, I guess, was maybe switch to the other camera and just sort of gave you, I guess, some little pointers on how I sometimes draw a face, and then we can do some maybe practice some face expression exercises. That's not good? Okay. So I'm gonna turn on my other camera here. Okay. Let's see. If it's too dark, I have a lamp. I'm not sure how how you guys see it. Can you see my camera?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay, is full screen or? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see my pad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as far as like drawing a front face, okay, let me start. I'm going to show you some quick pointers if you're just sort of drawing a person like at a cafe or something, not someone posing for you, because you can get really, really detailed with that. But this is just a quick thing if you're like out and about and sketching. And again, this is like looking straight on for someone. But you can sort of learn about proportion. So you sort of start with like, it's a basic oval shape, the basic head for a person. And again, these are generalities. Everyone looks different. Men's faces are generally more, how do you say it? More angular with harder edges. Women's faces tend to be rounder and softer. The cheeks are rounder, the lips are rounder in general. But you can start off with like an oval shape. And again, for guidelines or dash lines, you sort of bisect the head as a reference point, like that. And you do the same thing straight across. That's just, again, the reference point. Okay. And then from this, from the top of the head to that line, you want to draw a line that's equidistant. Right there. Right? And you do the same for the bottom half. From that center line to the bottom of the face, the chin, there's another reference line right there. Okay. So what that is, this top line is, you sort of think of it as the hairline. The hairline. This is where the eyes are. And this is the bottom of the nose. Okay, so you have hairline, eyes, and bottom of the nose. Now, the most difficult part of the face when looking straight on to someone, for me, is drawing the nose. And it's funny, the saying is, as plain as a nose on your face. But I think when drawing a face straight on, at least, I think the nose should be subdued. My personal preference, you shouldn't put a lot of detail into it. And for the nose, I generally have sort of like a triangle diamond shape. Think of a subtle thing like a triangle diamond. Okay, so I'm going to do this something like that. The formings of a triangle, and finish it off so it looks somewhat like a diamond. But that's really all you need. I think a nose, you can embellish it later, but start off subtly, because if it gets too strong, it really, I think it's sort of distracting. But again, that's just me. So you have the eye line there, and the nose, from that eye line to that line is the bottom of the nose. And then we can start with the eyes. I should read back up. The eyes, the eyes should be, the inside the edge of the eyes should be in line with the nose. So there and there helps you form the eye. Okay, so this point of the eye is somewhat in line with the edge of the nose. And I'm doing this roughly, so it's not going to look great, but it just sort of helps you set it up. Okay, now one more guideline between the bottom of the nose and the chin. 1/3 of that distance from that nose, you can draw another reference line. So 1/3 distance from the bottom of the nose to the chin. Okay, and that's where the top, basically if the mouth is closed, that's sort of the center line of the mouth. Okay, so we can subtly draw, so upper and bottom lip based on that. So something like that. Okay. I know, so it looks demonic in a way, but we're sort of building on it. So, and now the ears is from the eye line down, generally to about the bottom of the nose, I think. This is the ears. Like that. That's the ear. All right. And then we can start, you can start adding lines to the eyes. There's generally an eyelid, upper and lower eyelid. And the iris and the pupils. Okay, right there. And then from there, you can add whatever hairline or hat you want. Oh, eyebrows too, sorry. Eyebrows. And the thing with hair is that the hair is a good way to add texture to the face, wherever the hairdo might be. Let me well, I'll show you. I'll go back to the slides later. But hair is a great way to add texture and sort of finishing touch to the person. Okay, so there's like a quick face of a lady. And you want to, you can always go back and add shadows and fix things up. Like you can maybe touch at the nose if you want. Add shadow under the neck. Add jewelry, whatever. So whatever. But that is sort of a quick way to set up a front look of a person. Yeah, I have no idea who this person is. This is John. Again, it's a boilerplate face. So, yeah. So, have you guys? I just want to hold up. If you guys doing it, if you're holding up, I want to hold up. See your drawing. You can hold it up to the screen. Is anyone done it? All right. No, all right, well, you don't have to. We can do it all at the end later. So that is a quick quick thing about drawing the face. Again, now I think I'll show you some pointers about expression, because I think a face is more than just a set of body parts. It's how the emotion that it captures. So I'll give you some ideas and about different expressions. Oh, by the way, researching this, does anyone know that groove between the bottom of the nose and upper lip, that little groove? You know what that's called? Anyone?
Cupid's bow.
No, I think that might be the common name, but I was just doing some research. It's called a philtrum, and there's no known use of it, no anatomical, biological use of this little groove under our nose. But what it is that it's when we're all in the embryo in the first 2-3 months, where our face parts are coming together, that's like a seam or a crease in our face. Yeah, it's just sort of like how our faces develop, and it's just a crease line basically. That's what I've been told. But there's no known use for it. I was wondering why we have that there, but it's just there as sort of like a birthmark. Okay, so anyway, so I am gonna go turn this camera off. And share the screen again. Okay, so we sort of had a way to draw a head-on shot. So I was doing some research on expressions a little bit. So here's two: happiness and sadness. And I've sort of copied some photos. And I think maybe as a practice, we can, look at some of the fundamentals of these expressions and draw them. So I did 4 basic ones: happiness, sadness, surprise, and anger. Okay. So the first one, happiness, I wrote some notes here. Corners of the mouth are pulled out and back. Just the crease here on your cheeks, I think it's called a nasal furrow, something like that. But for our purposes, it's called a nasal furrow. So that is pulled in the same direction as your mouth, and it gets deeper as a happiness expression. The front of the cheeks are raised and puffed out. You sort of see it's raised more because you're smiling and pushing those muscles up. And the lower part of your face gets a little bit narrower and sort of lifted up as a body language. So those are some characteristics of happiness. Again, these are all generalities, but that's what makes a happy face, happy expression. Sadness, the wrinkles at the center, there's wrinkles at the center of the forehead. And angles in the mouth are pulled down to the corners. And the inner corners of the eyebrows, see the difference between the eyebrows? There and there, okay? This is, in a sad face, they're sort of pulled tighter and they slope down. And lips are pulled downward. And also, I would say, look at the eyes are so important. The eyes here are so, it just feels, in a happy face, it's much more relaxed. Whereas over here, it's just more tense. And you see how the corners go down. Whereas here, they're narrower and it just feels, it's more relaxed. And so again, these little things that you can draw on someone's face can have a lot of effect. Let's see. Well, okay, let me ask you. I was gonna say we practice drawing these 2 faces, or should we cover the other ones first and go back? I don't know.
Let's draw.
Draw? Okay.
That's what I feel. Anyone else?
Okay. Let's spend a few minutes and draw these 2 faces based on the setup guidelines, and then try to draw with these principles. And I would say on top of that, you can change the hairstyle, because that has no effect on expression, and add jewelry or a hat or whatever, but have these expressions, but add your own interpretation to it as far as what they're wearing or what they're having in the head or the hairstyle. Okay. So do a happy and a sad. So yeah, use those guideline references, the center and between the center line and the top of the head, and center line and the bottom of the chin first. And I would say try to, these are 2 different people. Try to give them so they look different, I guess. They should look like 2 different people. One thing, you can see the nose on a sad person. It's sort of, it'll be sort of like the person who's angry. The nose is a little flared. So again, with the nose, do it subtly, do the triangle and diamond shape. But I wouldn't in the beginning, I wouldn't put a lot of detail into it. And then from there, you can sort of set up with the eyes. One more thing about the eyes on a happy person, it's more relaxed, and the eyelids, they touch the pupil. You look closely. So there should not be any white between the upper eyelid and the top of the pupil. Right? It should partially cover it. That gives it a relaxed look. So basically the pupil is not doesn't show as a full circle in the eyes. Lips are actually the most difficult thing for me to draw. I still can't get it quite right. Again, it's one of those things where it's the nose and the lips are very soft. There's not a lot of hard lines, and when you draw it hard, it just sort of stands out a lot. But I don't know.
Eddie, do you have any advice for the teeth on the left?
Oh, I was afraid someone's going to ask that. I would say the lines between the teeth, it's almost like sometimes I'm afraid to draw them in because it starts looking like a jack-o'-lantern whenever I do it. The answer to that is I don't have a good answer. Do you see the darkness below the teeth, the black? I do tend to sometimes tone that in, but not necessarily draw the individual teeth. I think I usually I get in trouble when I do that. I sort of just leave it as mostly like white as possible, maybe with a couple of lines, but don't draw like all the teeth. And I think sometimes if I make the bottom edge of the lower lip subtle, that helps too. It shouldn't be such a hard line as the top edge of the bottom lip. It doesn't have to be a full line. Even though you do see a full line, you don't have to necessarily draw the whole line. So. So, a good exercise is practice on your family. I tend to encourage people to draw from life rather than photos. My one of my thing that I want to do before I die, and I've actually looked into this, is being a courthouse artist. So I actually looked in the county of Alameda, see if there were any openings for courtroom artists. Should we hold some of these up? Are we done? You don't want to show them?
I'll
How do you
show
do that?
mine.
How do you do that?
Just hold it
Yeah,
up.
hold it to the camera. I mean,
How do I hold it up?
yeah, mine is.
The camera.
You can do that like this?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Eddie?
Yeah, a little bit lower, Chip. Yeah, there you go. Okay. There's a little bit of shadow, but it's good.
Yeah, there you go. Move it on that side.
Yeah.
This side?
Yeah, and go
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah, these are some.
That was really fun. You know, the eyebrows, I never thought about what a difference that makes.
Yes, big. We'll see more. I mean, how much a difference it makes.
My noses are terrible, but I like the eyebrows.
Do we need more time on this, or should we go on to the next one?
Or I think maybe we should go on. The other
There's not
people speak up.
The other two were surprise and anger. Surprise, eyebrows are raised, but they're not scrunched together like sadness. They're raised. The upper eyelids are raised, and you can sort of see more of the pupil, right? Because the eyelids are raised. It has that look. The eyes are not relaxed. You see maybe some white above the iris on the eyeball, right? It's a full pupil. The face is lengthened a little bit, and the jaws dropped. So, and then there's anger. The flared nostrils, the mouth is scrunched and frowned, the lips are tense. The inside ends of the eyes is sort of sloped down, and the upper lid is not like this. It's sort of it's more narrow and tense, and you don't see a lot of the pupil. So again, those are some characteristics, and the different. These are again just generalities, but you can sort of see just how little things can just affect the mood of the drawing or the person. And again, this question maybe for Chip or whoever. I mean, I've never really been to Rome or explored like Italy, but those statues, is it just me or do a lot of them have the same expression? I don't know, Chip.
Yes.
They all have that straight face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's etched in stone.
Yes, that's just stone. It's a straight face, and it never is always expressionless. You can get really detailed as far as proportions. If you do a portrait, you can actually like get down to the proportions, the eyes, the pupils, and the eyelids, and earlobes. But we're not gonna get that detailed. This is just in general outdoor sketching. Yeah, I was reading up a little bit how really detailed you can get with the human face. And again, draw whatever accessory or hairstyle you want on these people. It's good practice. Kids and babies' faces are probably not the same proportions that what I showed you earlier, because they're much smaller, especially their noses. They're smaller in general, but I think you can still use the basic center line of the eye and the vertical center line of the face, obviously, but the eyes and the ears are still the same. It's the nose that I think is the most different on a kid, on a child. Okay, how are we doing? Okay. Should we go to the next slide? Okay. This next slide, we can always come back, but I just want to show you this next slide. So my friend Allie, I told her to put a mask on with 2 different expressions. So you can sort of tell. I mean, I'm looking around with people with masks on all the time and seeing, what their, try to determine what their moods are or their expression. The one on the left here is sort of a puzzled look, and the one on the right is a happy look. And you can tell to me by the eyes. Well, it's the only thing showing, but specifically the eyes. Not really the eyebrow, but the eye, is more relaxed again in the happy face. And there's a little more wrinkles here on this one, between the eyebrow. The eyebrows is flatter, it's more tense, and the eyebrows here is just more curved and relaxed with no wrinkle. So maybe give a stab at that and see, capture the mood with just the eyes and the eyebrows. And again, just important, it's like, the eyelids cover a part of the pupil. That gives it a relaxed look. When you see the full pupil, the full circle, that adds some tenseness. The more pupil you look, you see in the eye, the more unrelaxed it is. I'm sorry, I should be saying iris. The iris, not the pupil. The pupil is at the center black dot in your eye. The iris is the whole eye, the colored part of the eye. And also the outside edge of the eye, the corner, remember on the happy face, it tends to slope downward. That gives it another relaxed look. Are we done with this one? Okay. And again, I just got some more faces to show if you want to practice some more. I'm biased as my niece. I liked her hat and the expression she has. When she was younger, or this is a partial painful happy face of Allie getting a tattoo that I drew for her. So why don't we take a stab at this one? I'm not sure what this look is. That's why it's like part happy, part quizzical. I'm not sure how to describe this look, but I think it's the hair is good, the background is good. And it's a kid's face, so the nose is like you can sort of see it's smaller in proportion to an adult nose. But the wrinkles, that's sort of what sort of gives it that emotion. These wrinkles here, and again, the narrow eye. And the way the eyebrows dip down and the tense lips. And again, the hair, yes, I mean, I think the hair is a good way, is a great way for texture on a face. I tend to add texture to sort of more weighted on one side of the head than um, generally both sides. Like if I was doing this, I would probably add more texture to this part of the face, where there's more hair, more lines, more wavy lines, and less on the other side. And again, you want to add tone. Under the chin is good, and a little bit under the nose. You want to add a little bit of tone under the chin, under the nose, a little bit under the eyebrow. Yeah, still the one thing I'm still working on myself is, you know, making it really look obvious that it's a child, not an adult. Sometimes I draw, it still looks like an adult, and that's the tricky part. And I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I think it's just, you know, their features are just smaller and not in the same proportions as an adult. I think their eyes are bigger in proportion than an adult, but their nose is smaller. I think that's, I don't know. I don't have kids, so, but I think that's the difference.
Their features are smoother too. They're not as rigid in their face. Their features are smoother. Their skin is smoother. There's fewer wrinkles.
Yeah. But usually I'm drawing Dahlia here now. It still looks like an adult to me when I'm drawing. It's one of those things that it's just hard. It can be hard to do.
It's like an anatomy lesson, looking at how the muscles work. That's really helpful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I'm trying to do it where I'm not relying on clothing or hairstyle or jewelry to, you know, between maybe some men and women or kids, you know. It's trying to get those features right. And it's, you know, I'm still learning and trying to do it myself. Should we move on? Okay, so I mean, I have some more. I mean, a lot of people stuff, but I thought maybe we just do like a general full body person with some facial features. Again, when I draw people, I try to focus on a particular interesting characteristic that they're doing. This person's sitting. This, you know, obviously what jumps out here is the saxophone. But we can work on that. There is some, you know, some facial expression to it. And again, this is from the side. So I chose these. These are side faces.
God damn it. The fellow on the right, I definitely, you know, want to get that goatee in there. And the sort of wrinkles on his face.
Should we move on? Okay. I thought this was sort of, I don't know, interesting picture. New York City, again, people looking at their cell phones again, but you get different different angles of faces and a little bit of a suburban setting in a way. Do we all know about the human proportions, the 1, 3, 4?
What did you review?
Okay. In a human proportions in general, again, the head is 1 part, torso is 3 parts, the leg is 4 parts. So that's where you get the 1, 3, 4 in general. So head is 1, torso, you know, the from the hip to the neck is 3, and the leg is 4. You know, I'm not sure how we would do this because I sort of just do it subconsciously in a way. If I was drawing this in real life, I'm not sure where I would start. I would probably start with a building first. Personally, I don't know. It could go either way. I mean, I go back and forth. Do I draw the people first or the building first, the setting? I think it depends on which is more interesting to you at the time. I tend to draw what captured my interest in that picture first, whether it's the people or maybe the setting. In this photograph, I don't think the face is as important as the body language. You want to do one more to close it out, or stick with this one? About 10 minutes left.
What does everybody want to do?
I'll show you the pictures I have, and we can do one more. I always thought, no, it's hard to draw a bicycle. It's hard for me to draw a bicycle from the top of just from my head. I can never do it. I saw this interesting bicycle, these two kids on it. Have that. People do yoga. So I don't care. I'm gonna have 10 minutes left. Which one you want to focus on?
I vote for yoga.
Yoga? Right.
Bikes are too hard.
Okay, this is wrapping it up. But yeah, body language is hard, and this is, I guess, a little different because they're not standing up straight. So you have that, so that the 1, 3, 4 proportions. Arms, I'm not sure how arms work, but yeah, I don't know that it means that's the length of their height. I don't know. This is a good drawing. This is a good picture to practice.
I don't know if it's just my laptop, but I'm losing your voice. It's really hard to hear you. It suddenly faded out.
Oh, okay. How about now? No?
Not as strong as it was. Anybody else having that?
No. I mean, that's it. I'll see. Hopefully it'll come back. Jim, did you do a watercolor demo earlier? Hey, Chip. Did Chip do a watercolor demonstration earlier, Liz?
In June, I think you did, right, Kip, with your pop-up books?
Yeah, but it was just part of the, it was, yeah, for the pop-up, it was part of the
Brief,
pop-up book.
a brief one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eddie, can I sign you up to do another one for watercolor?
I think someone else should. Well, I think there's a lot of other good people that can do it, but yeah, we can talk. But I think no one else wants to. I mean, someone else should. Other good watercolors should have a chance too.
Tentatively, I hope April Phillips will be doing one next month.
Okay. Should be
About
good.
well, about sort of, I think about like ideation and just creative thinking. So we have to confirm, but I'm hoping to have her do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's some of the tips I have. I mean, I'm not a portrait artist or anything, but this is just from experience, stuff I've done from experience.
That's great. Anybody have questions for Eddie? I think this has been really fantastic. I've totally enjoyed it. Trying not to critique myself too much, but I've learned a lot. I learned a lot about really the proportions. I had no idea that our eyes are so far down in our
Yes.
heads that
Yes.
it's halfway.
Yes. Yeah, I think to me it's like how much the pupil is showing and how relaxed the eye is as important as the mouth. People, when kids just draw a smiley face or a sad face, but the eyes and the wrinkles between the eyebrows and the way the eyebrows are shaped, and the tenseness of the mouth adds a lot, obviously.
Should we all hold up our work, or
Okay, hold up.
and then do you want to take some questions? We just have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's my.
So everybody hold up their best page.
My saxophone was terrible, but I like that girl.
Yeah.
My best page.
No.
Can you see that, Liz?
Yeah, we can see everybody's if I put it on gallery.
A lot of times I find that when I draw faces fast and don't care, they come out better. Maybe because they're looser. Like you just don't care in a way, like a gesture drawing. But and unless someone wants to pose for you, like a figure model for 20 minutes or something, those fast ones, keeping still in your head those guidelines could, I think drawing fast could be just as good.
Fantastic.
Okay. But anyway, I mean, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram. I just have drawings there. It's Eddie Chau, one word, Eddie CHAU _studio. Eddie Chau _studio, and I'm on Instagram. And I just, I'm not a big Facebook, but I post stuff on Instagram. It's just drawings. That's all. Part of a drawing community.
And his drawings are amazing. It's such a treat to see what you post, Eddie. They're just beautiful.
Oh, thanks. It's fun, It's a labor of love. So.
Yeah, we can tell. Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Okay, thanks, you guys.
And does anyone any last questions, or we'll give you a thumbs up, a big hand. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a great. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself and keep tuning in to all our great events. Just check the asla-ncc.org calendar. There's so many things and new initiatives that we're working on. So.
Yeah. Sketch your family.
Bye.
Thanks for hosting.
All right. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you all. Doodle.
Doodle happily.